What's up, welcome back guys, Brax here, and very quick introduction because this video is pretty long. I did a video with Brock Johnson. He sold $6 million on Amazon in only 6 months, and half of that was profit. So you're going to be seeing his story, how he did all of that. If you want to skip parts, check the description below. I laid out the questions and put the minutes of where each question is, so you don't have to waste a lot of time. But watch the whole thing if you want to get the most value. And in the last video, if you guys saw it, there was a contest where I was giving away a book, and the winner is El Magnifico. Basically, I chose him because I really liked what he said. The fact that he's gonna gift the book after he's done reading it, he's gonna give it to someone. That's something that I really liked. So because there was such a good response to this contest and people were so excited to win this book, I actually kind of felt bad to give it to just one person. So I'm just gonna keep doing these book giveaways, and in this one, I'm giving away this book by Mark Cuban. Very short book, very small book, very quick read, and very good. So if you want to win it, just click on the like button, subscribe, click on the bell, and leave a comment saying why you want to win it, and I'll decide in the next video. And that's it, enjoy the video. What's up, welcome back guys, Brax here, and in today's video I have a guest, someone who made a lot of money last year on FBA in a very short amount of time, and I'll just let you introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, my name is Brock Johnson, if you haven't heard of me before. And thanks for having me on the channel. I look forward to talking to you, man.
Well, what's up, Brock? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Just got back from Bali and just enjoying my basement, you know, my productivity station.
How was Bali? I was hoping to catch you in Bali.
I know, right? One day too late. You almost caught me in the Beijing airport, but there was a baby crying there. Yeah. Bali was amazing. I had like this private villa and everything and like somebody come and make us breakfast every morning for $70 a night. It's just tropical, and it's just a great country. I think it's like a Buddhist country. So they're very it's not a rich country, but I think I saw two cops the whole time I was there. Nobody begging for money. Just the most pleasant country I've ever been. Because I've been to a lot of countries, and normally when you go to like third world countries or non-developed ones, there's, you know, a huge military, a lot of poor people. But it didn't really seem like that. People were just like, everybody's smiling. I suggest people go there if they're looking for a vacation.
Yeah, I've been. It's beautiful. Did you see the offerings that they put outside their doors every morning?
Yeah, it's so cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we start by talking about what you did last year with Amazon?
Yeah. So where should I start? I could start with all the failures first, because that's the part that it's not as clickbaity and people aren't always as interested in that, but I think that's the most important part. So essentially I've been doing Amazon since winter 2014, the beginning of 2015. And I kind of got into it from retail arbitrage because I was going to my school surplus stores and at college and buying the old computers from when they would upgrade, you know, like, okay, computer lab, we're going to upgrade, and they would sell them for really cheap. Or they would also sell stuff like printers and microphones. Like somehow, I found one just like the Shure mic, which is, you know, like I found one that was $500. They sold it for $10. And yeah, so that's like how I got kind of drawn into the whole flipping and reselling. And I was doing that on eBay, but then I got banned from eBay. I got banned from eBay multiple times. So, and then anyways. And so then I switched to Amazon, and I noticed I was able to sell my computers for the same iMac computer. I could sell it for about $300 more on Amazon than eBay. Mm-hmm. And then that was when I really got onto Amazon. I was like, wait a minute, there's added perceived value here. Like you can charge more for the same thing. And that was like where I really was, okay, let me go in on this. And I actually had a computer fixing and reselling business for about a year on Amazon. And I was literally just able to source all of my computers on eBay. And then essentially I would bid on them at the last second with the software, and they would come into my house, we would process them, make sure they were good, you know, refresh them, install some software. And then I imported, and this is where I started my importing career, and I would import keyboards and mice. And so I would make like a bundle and then sell this bundle for a lot more on Amazon. So I was like making my own private label product, but it was a private label bundle. And that was selling really well. But eventually my wife got mad at me because she was like the packager and everything. And these were 30-pound iMac computers. So we had to stop that. But I mean, I was making per computer flip about, it depended, sometimes $400 or $500, and they would only take us an hour of work. So it was good money there. But we had to move on, and then essentially Radio Shack went out of business. And so I went to all the stores around the nation with just racked up a bunch of credit card debt and was buying their stuff. And like they would have these days where it would go from, but essentially they would start out at like 10 to 30% off, whatever. And then they would progressively get higher and higher and higher. And I had calculated that you could get, there was like a point where there'd be a lot of stuff left in the store, and then they would flip overnight, and you could just make a crazy amount of money and like double it. But you had to get there that day. So we like rented a U-Haul and stuff, and we'd be planned it out, and you know, we had these maps and everything. It was like, okay, so really? Sorry about that. I kicked my computer and I thought I turned off. Okay, yeah. So we'd get there on the last day, and essentially we were just going and we were doing that, and then the computer business. But then eventually we got tired of old people calling us, you know, and like, how do I fix my computer? And so we ended up stopping that. And then at about the same time, Radio Shack, they stopped running out of stores for us to go to. And then we were buying wholesale directly from them. And that was going great. And then, you know, it was making good money just doing that. So then I was like really seeing the opportunity of the wholesale side of Amazon. I was seeing the private label bundling side from the computers. But then Radio Shack cut us off essentially. And like the chairman of the board messaged, was like, no, we're done with all of this. And they caught on because I had to they started to sell on Amazon, and I had to reprice her. And so like they didn't know like how Amazon worked at all. They didn't know that if I just lowered the price by a penny, I would win the buy box. And so they're freaking out. And then I actually almost had a deal with them where I was going to manage their whole account. And then they went bankrupt again for the second time, and that was over. So that was kind of my story of how I got into Amazon private label. And so I made some good money for the first 2 years, 2015, 2016. So this is when I had done Radio Shack and the iMacs. I'd seen the opportunity and like how I could just sell stuff. Like I would literally, some of these from Radio Shack, I was selling the same product that Radio Shack was for like, let's say it was $40 on the Radio Shack website. I could sell it for $70 on Amazon. They're in stock at Radio Shack.
Was it your own listing or someone else's listing?
It was just like a shared listing. Like there's no bundle, there was no nothing. But people would literally pay $70 versus $40 because they could buy it on Amazon. Well, when they could have just easily gone to Radio Shack website. So that's when I really had this realization of like, I got to see all these different types of people that bought on Amazon. And I just really learned that like people are fine because people like, it's just the best search engine in the world. So people that were buying this obviously weren't looking for Radio Shack stuff. They were looking for something, and then they found this, but they didn't research any further, or they just didn't care because it was convenient for them to like have it shipped through Amazon and have the safety of that. So, you know, I just got to really see that and these were bad listings. I did not like change these listings to make them better. There's Radio Shack ones. So, if you've just got a good list, so if you have a good listing and a good product, you can charge really high prices,
right?
And people will buy it because people are buying shitty listings for a lot. Yeah. Okay. So.
And then you got into private labeling?
Yeah. So, but I was tired of, so with wholesale and this bundling, it wasn't scalable, you know? And so I learned these lessons along the way and like all these, and then I had also done Black Friday stuff and you know, buying deals and flipping them, but nothing was ever sustainable. And so I wanted to find something that was repeatable, that, you know, that was just going to make me a larger amount of money. And, you know, I'm learning to sell on the Amazon platform. So then I went in and started a private label, but it didn't go very good at first. For the first couple, I was trying to invent or be like creative on Amazon, which doesn't work very well. So I was trying to do like these wristbands, and like you can sell. I actually just uploaded a video on YouTube today. Oh yeah, I'm on YouTube too.
Yeah, check him out.
Yeah, not trying to like promote too much. I'm trying to provide some value. So these were 80-20 wristbands. So it's like, okay, all the entrepreneurs, one of the most common subjects is 80-20. Logical. Okay. Silicone wristbands. Okay, great. Well, they're cheap. I could provide value and everything. Like, it should work. But it didn't, because people that were looking for 80-20 principle were looking for a book. And then people were looking for motivational wristbands and stuff, didn't know what 80-20 was. So like, I had these two Venn diagrams and they didn't overlap.
Right.
And so that's where I learned, like, if you're going to be creative and add value to stuff, or just anything on Amazon, you have to overlap. So like, this can apply if you're going to bundle. Okay. Is the market for A and the market for B, just because A buys B doesn't mean they want to buy A and B together. Like, or, you know, or at the same time. So you've got to like really pay attention that everything matches if you're going to bundle something, or if you're going to be creative. Does the people interested in 80-20 principle, are they also the people that are looking for motivational wristbands, whatnot? No. So that didn't work. But other people were working like that. So there's this one guy who had a wristband that just says, get shit done. Wristband. He's doing like 50 grand a year. So about 30 grand profit just on those silicone wristbands. Mm-hmm. And his initial investment was like $300. You know, like, yeah, right? That's a 100x return on your money in 1 year. So that's where I like, so when I started at first, so I already had this Amazon experience. So I started to go for these really, really low risk ones, because I figured if I'm going to fail, let me at least, like, could I at least use these products for something? And like, yeah, see, now I can give them to people. Like if I have a conference or event or just my YouTube channel, like I can give them away to people, and then I also did the same thing with coffee mugs. Mm-hmm. So I actually didn't start by ordering from China, like a lot of people do. I actually ordered in the US because it had a faster lead time. And my theory was, let me learn the most lessons possible in the fastest amount of time with the least amount of capital until I get a hold of this. So I did coffee mugs, and my initial order was 250 of them. I maybe put up $500. I ended up selling them all too. So I made a profit, but it didn't work. It was the same 80-20 principle, you know? Mm-hmm. So like, but that actually worked better than the wristbands, because I found some startup companies that wanted to buy them in California. So.
But you were convinced that you wanted to sell the 80-20.
Yeah, no. I was like, okay, this 80-20 principle, come on, it's genius. Everybody talks about it.
Right.
And like,
yeah,
no. Like, it logically makes sense. Like, I was able to make the logical, well, here's the thing. I could make it work now with Facebook ads. Mm-hmm. Okay. But you can't make it work with Amazon. So people need to understand that just because a product is great doesn't mean that it will work on Amazon. When you're selling on Amazon, you have to play through this keyword search algorithm. Mm-hmm. And it's not like social media marketing, which is really different. So, yeah, I just don't want people getting caught up in that, because there's a lot of things that can be successful and are great ideas, but they're not a great Amazon idea.
Yeah, it's all about the numbers with Amazon. It's very important for it to make sense on paper for Amazon.
Yeah. But I did successfully invent on Amazon. So, mm-hmm. So I was able to. I've tried inventing on Amazon and failing, and I've tried and been successful. So I'll get into that later. But did that, and then I also had some glasses. Some of these crazy glasses right here. Oh yeah. So.
Can you see?
No. No, and they're for people at music festivals. So it was like a great idea until they tried to dance or anything. So
did you saw that at a music festival?
Yeah, I definitely saw these at music festivals. And well, here's the next lesson that I learned though. Okay. So Jungle Scout said these were doing 2,000 a month units. Okay. But not these. This was actually an invention too. So the originals, all right, so the originals didn't have the fur on them. So they were like this.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what everybody else was selling. But then my thing was like, let me add some value. But like fur comes off and people are hot and sweaty. They don't want pink fur all over. Well, some people might, but and then I also had these glasses too, but they were for people at music festivals, and I didn't make them tight enough. So like at the end of the day, you need to have the best product. And like, so things may look great. So there were people searching these and whatnot, but where I ran into issues with, where did I run into issues with these? Yeah. Oh yeah. Jungle Scout was wrong. It said that they were doing 2,000 a month, and it was more like 35, 40.
What category is it in?
Man, I don't know. But this was like the first time that I ever saw Jungle Scout just get wrecked. And so normally it's pretty accurate, but I really suggest everybody, before you make an order, do the 999 trick on someone on the first page. If it's really competitive, they're going to have more than 1,000, but like this was I paid a couple grand to get 1,000 of these glasses, and there was just no volume there. And I like, go actually use your product for its intended use before, like, get that sample and use it. Okay. Because it all looked great. And I was like, oh, whoa. And then I started, like, after I made my order, I tried to dance and party with it. And it was like, oh, wait, these just fall off and they're pretty useless. So, you got to invent, what I learned, you got to invent within the lines, and you got to really make sure that you have the best product. Mm-hmm. And when you get that all right, then you kill it. So let's see. Did I have any other failures? Maybe I did. I don't remember them at this moment.
So when you kill it, what happens?
When you kill it, you could maybe, no, you probably can't get what happened to me, because that was hard work, dedication, meeting perfect timing, meeting perfect execution, meeting perfect life situation. Like 8 things overlapped for me, but I went from 0 to $6 million in sales in 6 months. So that was just crazy.
Incredible.
Yeah, right?
That's amazing.
So essentially, I've got these failures, and it comes to about January. I'm about to go to China for my second time. I'd already gone once for the Canton Fair, and I wasn't able to find any good manufacturers, nothing with good high quality products. But I've been there, so I'm about to go again. And luckily, I had actually looked at sourcing these and other ones when I was in China. So I was able to meet some glasses manufacturers, and one of them emailed me and asked me if I was interested in Solar Eclipse glasses. And I was like, okay, tell me about that. And then it was like a 1-sentence email, and the guy never responded to me. And I just was like, okay, fine. But then I literally, as I'm packing my bags for China, about to go on the flight, I ran the numbers, and it looked okay. It didn't look like a home run, but there was one guy doing 350 sales a month with about 8 reviews.
What month was that?
This was in January.
Okay. And the Eclipse was in August?
Yeah. So there was one guy doing that, and then some other ones in like the low 100s. Nobody had a lot of reviews yet. So I was able to, I was like, okay, I can probably compete in this because there's not too many reviews. But how big is it going to be? And then I started, I kind of ignored it at first, but then I started to go over the numbers, and I was like, well, like I did the whole research behind the Eclipse and everything, and I got to know it all. And it turns out it was going over 20 million people's heads, like literally over their heads, the Total Eclipse. And I just figured, like, how could you not watch that? if this beautiful, like once in a lifetime event is happening, like it's going to be on every local news station, at least, and then I started to think about this and said, okay, there's 20 million people that are going to probably view this. They all need glasses. Could I capture 1% of the market? If I could capture 1% of the market, that would be 200,000 people. And it was like, could I make $1 per person that I sell glasses to? Was like my hope. And my original goal was to make $100,000 because that would allow me to go travel the world and go do a honeymoon for a while, which is what I'm about to do. We were on that in Bali, but we took a break because I'm making free Amazon course and that it was too hard to make on the road. So I came back to beast mode in that.
It was too hot and sweaty to do that.
Oh man, it's hot there. And there were so many things. Like a snake jumped off the roof when and just landed next to me and like went in the pool. And I was like, the night before that, there was a deadly spider there that was just, oh.
Where are you from?
Minnesota, man. And there's nothing strong. Like all the poisonous stuff can't live here.
Freeze.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the way I am. Like if I'm going to go down, I want to go down from a bear, a tiger, like let's have a fight and I'm going to die. Like cool. Not like this freaking just bite me and run and then I just sit there and die in agony. Like no, I want to be freaking mauled to death or like fine. Like, so anything poisonous or small freaks the heck out of me.
All right. Eclipse glasses.
Yeah. Eclipse glasses. So got figured out and then I started doing the math and I said, this is going to be huge. Okay. And so I went in and I started to look to source into it. And there was a lot of, it was really tough because there was a lot of manufacturers that they just weren't very good. So they were like, I would get samples and what I did originally is I read the literature behind all of this. And I started to like, how do you safely view this? Because if I'm going to, one of my other key principles that I've learned is I was trying to source electronics for a while, but I figured it only takes one apartment to burn down and you lose it all. Okay. And I went to China in that first Canton Fair and they all lied to me. They would all, so you need to get, like, if you're going to have like anything with serious electronics going through it, you're going to want to get UL because in a court case, if this burns down an apartment, even if they're stupid, okay, you're liable if you did not go through the due diligence to ensure that this was safe because, well, how are you going to prove that it was the guy being stupid and not your product sucking? Okay, an understandable argument. So then they say, well, what were the, what standards did you use to ensure this was manufactured safely? And it's not official, but UL is like Underwriters Laboratory, and they have these specifications that show if a product, like these are the standards of making a safe electrical product. And a lot of these manufacturers, here's another tip. If you're going to go, you want to see the tip within a tip. So not to get too inception wise here. Basically, you want to see where your manufacturer normally sells to. And that's huge. Because if they've not normally sold to the US, the way they make their products and everything is not catered. They don't know the laws. They've never imported there before, or maybe they have. So if you want to see, okay, this is a US importer, so obviously they know the way around it. And maybe if you're new, they'll catch you and be like, wait a minute, you can't do that. Like we have other customers in the US and they say no. But if you're newer and you're using someone who hasn't been there, they'll be like, okay, this works in the Middle East. Like we'll just throw it to the US. And so there may be customs or legal things you're not thinking into. And so I went and there were two types. There were manufacturers that had never imported to the US before and they didn't have UL. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And then there was the other types of manufacturers that said, we could get UL or we have UL. But when I actually went to their factories, they didn't actually have UL.
Yeah.
They would literally put UL on the adapter, or they would just fake print UL on it, just because there's like this cultural thing where Chinese people they don't really want to say no, or I can't do that. And they'll break the rules just to make you happy. It's something very culturally different. So you need to be very upfront and like, show me the certification. I care about safety, and make that very clear to them. And then that's how you're going to best protect yourself.
And it's the same thing with glasses. You had to make sure that no one gets blind because of your product, right?
Yeah. So I took those lessons and I applied it to the glasses. And I said, it only takes one person to go blind. So why should I go through all this trouble if one person goes blind, it ruins it all. Why do any other work then? So I had a real emphasis on getting safe products. So put all my energy into that. And I found out that none of the Chinese suppliers had safe glasses. They would say, oh, we're using PE, or no, PE, was it PE? Yeah, which is like polyethylene or something. I butchered that. Nobody get on me for that. But they're basically saying, oh, you could just use this type of plastic, which isn't certified or recommended for solar viewing. So that's what all of them were using. And I was like, there was a bunch of other Amazon listings like that. So I could have just assumed that was safe. Well, everybody else is doing it. But no, I went in and I figured out the regulations myself, and I actually like put in that time and kept going and going and going, and I couldn't find it. And then I found one that was really close, and it looked like they had the certifications, and they actually said they had them. But when I looked into it, they didn't. They actually made like this fake company up in Toronto, I believe. It was somewhere in Canada. They made this fake company, or it was real, but just a real sham, and said that they were like legitimate solar viewing materials from there, but they weren't. And then all these other ones. So it was just every single person on Alibaba either didn't have safe certified glasses or was lying. And so I spent a month and a half trying to source legit glasses. And I really, really wanted to buy them from China because I did not want to package these in my house. But I was finally able to find the right glasses, and I was only able to get them in America because no one in China had the real stuff. So finally got the right glasses for this, and it paid off so much. But the way that it was, okay, so I analyzed the market now, and I said, okay, there's all these people viewing the eclipses, and they all have different needs. And so I think in total, I had over 30 listings of different eclipse glasses, just different, because a lot of them were all the same. So I in the end, I had those, like these goggles. So this was my genuine invention. I'll get to this in a minute. And then I had the paper glasses, but there's groups of people that wanted to buy paper glasses, like for a school or a public place. So they had different needs than the people who were like having a house party. So I made listings catered to those people, made listings catered to the bigger groups, and then the individuals too. You know, me and my wife just want to watch it, or, you know, so made listings catered to those. But then each one of those groups, what about a big Boy Scout group versus big Girl Scout group? They're going to want different designs on those glasses. So then making different listings for different groups and then variations of those. And then, but you don't want to just make them on the same listing because you want to grab more real estate of the whole eclipse. So making separate listings, just grabbing as much real estate and trying to serve as many of the groups as possible is what I did to fully maximize this whole event. So I'm hitting all the parts of the market, and that was going awesome. And then made all these different listings. I grabbed all the real estate. That was going good, but there was all these different people that all had those fake glasses. And, you know, they were actually bad. Like, people could get hurt from these glasses. And just a crazy amount of people, all my competitors. So those glasses were actually 1/3 the price of mine, hurting people. They were lying, saying they're actually certified when they weren't. I was so pissed. And another big lesson learned here, Amazon, zero. They don't care. They will never care about you or if your competitors are breaking the rules.
Right.
Well, no. They'll care if you are, if they catch you. But reporting your competitors does just about nothing. So in my case is the only case where I would really suggest that people put serious efforts into contacting Amazon because there was imminent danger. And so I thought that was worth fighting for. So I spent countless hours and days reporting to Amazon, trying to get their legal team involved, contacting national certification bodies who ended up contacting NASA. So in the end, I contact certification agencies because basically one of the top selling guys who started to rank above me was lying about the certification. And he was saying that he used the lab that I use. So I just called my lab and was like, wait a minute. I know you didn't. I've done my own tests and I know these failed the test. So there's no way that you certified this. And then they were like, oh, okay. And so my guess is that then they contacted NASA and other authorities, and then NASA issued a statement just in July at the end. And then news corporations started to pick up on it, and then it started to go viral. And then Amazon was like, oh, we've got a problem here. And so that's literally, and then they took some action, but it still took a month then of this like process, or half a month of this. And this was the top product on Amazon. And I had other people complaining with me. So literally like for them to step in and do something might take a national news event. So just know that, okay?
Do you think you caused that event?
What?
Do you think you caused that event?
I think I did. I can't prove it, but I don't know. Like, I contacted all the top manufacturers. I made dozens of cases to them. Mm-hmm. I believe I was the main person behind that because who else cared? Right. Who else was who else was neck deep in Eclipse glasses that care? Because there was
took them all down.
So eventually Amazon ended up banning all Eclipse glasses essentially, except unless you had the certification. And luckily I did have the certification because I went through all the work. But everybody else who didn't do the work got shut down. And now on top of that, they also got all of their glasses. They had got the customers got their money back too. Right. So not only did, let's say you sold $1 million of Eclipse glasses, so all that money got refunded to the customer, and you had to pay the Amazon fees. And you had to pay for those glasses too. Right. So going from a profit of 500 grand to now, what, 500, you're negative 500 grand. Like, that's quite a swing. So yeah, that's what can happen it's probably not going to happen to whatever most people are selling, but I see a day in the future where Amazon's going to crack down on certifications pretty hard. Mm-hmm. Just because of the liability that they face. So just like if you see now, they've cracked down on copyright and trademark pretty hard. Mm-hmm. Because if they're not enforcing it, they're potentially liable and they're going to get in lawsuits. So they want to stay out of that, and then now, like, there's already some lawsuits for the Eclipse on Amazon for ignorance. So here's the thing. There's these Chinese sellers that are coming in and lying about their certifications. And so they're going to kind of ruin the market. So there may be a day of reckoning in the future here where it's going to be really hard to get into anything with certifications. So people just be aware and make sure your certifications are real and you know what is required for your market. Mm-hmm. Not only for getting kicked off Amazon, but just for getting business in general. I hate to see people's hard work get ruined by, something silly.
Yeah. So they removed all the listings, and then yours or your 30 ones were still there. So everyone was buying from you.
Essentially, there were some other people there with me. So it wasn't like it was just me.
Yeah.
But I believe I was the last person there. There was one other guy that held out a little bit longer than me.
Do you remember how many units total you sold?
I sold over 1 million glasses.
So if you're watching this, then you probably bought from Brax.
No, I'm actually, there is maybe. I mean, there was like 200 million glasses sold or something. So not sure if you bought it from me, but you bought it from someone. Or maybe it was more like 75 million. Anyways, you might have bought mine.
So 6 million in sales in 6 months.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was profit. How much of that was profit?
I'm not sure exactly. It's over 50% though.
Okay.
Yeah, but then I diverted, and there's different expenses and stuff, and I took the company other ways. So it's not like you show 3 million at the end of the year.
Right.
But about just on those product, yeah, it was about 3.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. In 6 months, 3 million in your pocket. Kind of.
Yeah, no, it was, but then you pay the government and everything, and it becomes less pretty fast. And then now all of a sudden you don't become a Republican, but you understand why the Republicans fight for the tax breaks, or just like or libertarians, or I mean, there's even some people in the Democrats, but you quickly become, when you get into the high tax brackets, you're like, whoa, this is like, they're stealing. Like, I don't want to pay over $1 million to the government. This is crazy. But whatever. I live in the greatest country in the world, and so.
I'm your neighbor.
Sure. Yeah. You're in Canada, right?
Yeah, in Montreal. So let's give some very quick tips for Amazon sellers who are starting. Let's start with product research.
Okay, so if you're going to do product research, you need to look at your resources. Number one, most important thing, how much money do you have or are willing to put in? And that should now dictate everything you're going to do. So if you've only got $500 or something, you've got to go and go do retail arbitrage. Or if you're going to do private label, I mean, you got to try something really, really. I just made a video on it today of how you could get started with $500, but it's not the easiest, to be honest.
You're limiting it a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know some people out there pitch that you can, and I just made a video that you can, but it's not easy. So just really realize what your resources are and what's I can compete in any market. Okay, I know that because where my skills are at now and how much capital I have, I'm not afraid to fight in any market. I can make it happen. Just about. Maybe there's a couple that I couldn't, just because I'd need even more capital. But that's only because I have the skills and knowledge and the capital. Now, let's say you had the capital but not the skills and the knowledge. You wouldn't want to go after a giant market. And maybe you have the skills and the knowledge, but not the capital. Okay, well, like, you can't go after these big markets. Or you could, but I mean, you've got to be just a pro, and you're going to have to go after these really niche, long tail keywords.
Right. And
be okay with it growing slow. And then maybe you could fight for these bigger keywords as time goes on, but it's still going to be hard because the reviews of your competitors are, but I mean, on the flip side, you could go into a really competitive market, and if you made the best listing and you really have one of the best products, it'll sell. It's not going to blow up, though, and you're not going to get on the front page unless you have the juice to get it up there and the amount of inventory. So I think just being realistic about just knowing you can compete in any market. Nothing is ever too competitive. It's just how competitive is this?
Right.
And then so it's for beginners to just know that, like, it's really, at the end of the day, you can compete in any market. You just got to have one of the best products. And the best way to success is find something where there's not a lot of competition. So it's either got to be weird, okay? Like just weird stuff not many people will go into, or maybe taboo, okay? Like that you wouldn't be proud of selling, because a lot of people won't sell something because they're not proud of that, okay? Weird, taboo, a trend, a new trend. So there's not enough people there yet. Or just long tail and there's not that much volume, but over time, like you can take, there's, you know, because there's just, the more money you make on Amazon, like I see opportunities every day and I won't touch them because it's just why it's like kind of eating like a field mouse when I could be hunting and getting a gazelle or something. You know, I'm only going after the couple big ones now. And that's what kind of happens to big sellers. Unless they build like this giant infrastructure where they just constantly pump out. But that's not me. I like to stay lean. I just like to be a couple man show my whole life. I don't want to manage a big company.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Sorry, this was supposed to be quick tips.
All right. Sourcing. We were just talking about that, me and you, and sourcing from Alibaba can be tricky.
Yeah. Sourcing from Alibaba can be tricky because here's the question. Who's on Alibaba? Why are they on Alibaba? I mean, this is an important question to ask anywhere, okay? Who is making Google ads for your keyword? And why are they running that ad? And everything, okay. So, well, obviously Alibaba, this is a group of people. One, it could be a middleman, because it's actually a quite profitable business if you're good at convincing people that you're a factory and you just know factories. Okay, well, I just mark up 20% or 30%. So if I mark up 30% of the factory price and I just offer a bunch of products, cool. If I'm able to convince some newbies or like even some just not new, like just some people, and then I make a 30% in my cash right away by just taking the money, giving it to the factory and just being the liaison, there's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's a trade company. It's a trading company. But then the other part is, so now who are the factories that are on Alibaba? Okay. Well, they need more business. They're a factory that needs more business. And oftentimes, who's the cheapest person on Alibaba? Somebody that really needs business. So if they have a low MOQ and a low price, they really need business. So they're probably new. Just think about it simply. Or maybe it's the very best manufacturer, maybe, but most of the time not. You just got to go into kind of game theory here. So you just be careful when you're looking on Alibaba, because these might not be the highest quality manufacturers. Because if you're a high quality Chinese manufacturer, you've probably found successful Amazon sellers over time, or you have successful retail sellers, okay? And basically what they're finding out is that there's only so many sales for silicone brushes or something, okay? So there's only so many people that are going to buy brushes total. Well, if we're one of the only makers of this brush, we could either let's use something more complex, because it doesn't apply to super simple products. But if there's any complexity in it at all, there's only a couple manufacturers that probably make it well. And they would rather deal with one big seller than deal with 50 little sellers that equate to the total amount of one big seller. You know, and they're getting thousands of emails a month. So basically, I don't want to scare people. You can find good product manufacturers on Alibaba, but I've talked individually to factories in China, and a lot of them don't like to be on Alibaba.
Mhm.
They just get spammed with people who don't respect them, don't know. They're always arguing on price. They want all this high quality. They want all this maintenance for just a couple like 100 product. Why? Why? When I've got, I've got that one big seller who's doing, he's ordering 4,000 at a time. He's pleasant. And we have a relationship and he always pays us on time. I'm going to go with that guy. So,
So what's your advice to finding good quality products, maybe on Alibaba or off Alibaba?
You got to look at the complexity of the manufacturing process. If it's a silicone spoon, it's pretty hard to mess up. Okay. Like they're using an injection mold machine, and you just can't mess that up. The machine does it. And so I would suggest that people look at just a little bit think about how your product is manufactured, and if this is more of a commodity or if it's a fully functional does it require a lot of assembly?
Okay.
And then if it does require a lot of assembly, you're going to need to do even more vetting on your product. So the more moving parts or the more pieces to assemble, the more you want to be diligent with your manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say. And if you're going to get a very complex product, I would suggest you go there. And
go to China.
Yeah, like if you really want a high quality. So to find the best quality manufacturer for a high quality product, you're probably going to need to go in person because some of these, I was there with my mentor and he wouldn't even take us seriously. Like we were there in China. They would not take, it took us, we went back to his booth 7 or 8 times and recorded for like 2 hours of the product and using it. And then he finally started to take us serious at the end and would actually send us a sample. It was actually for a massage chair.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was a super dope massage chair that we were going to market to gamers. And it's so cool. It could work, but this wouldn't work on Amazon very well. This would have to be a social media product. We're not going after it, so I'll say it. But like, if you're going to do something really complex like that, don't buy it on Alibaba. Go in person, meet them, and go to that factory. That's what I would really. That would be my not so quick tip on sourcing, or you can use different ones. So use a sourcing agent. Using a sourcing agent can help you get into factories that aren't on Alibaba.
All right, to not have this video go for 2 or 3 hours, I just want to talk about...
I've done that before and it happened. I can go on for 8. So yeah, you gotta cut me off sometimes.
Let's talk about when you met Gary Vee.
Ooh.
Very quickly.
Yes. Yeah, so there's this experience called the 4Ds, the Daily Digital Deep Dive. You get to go to VaynerMedia. You get to meet with the head of each department. They give you basically their whole strategy. And they teach you how to just kill it on social media. And that, brief synopsis, social media is the biggest change of attention in the world ever. And that's so basically the 2 biggest changes are all of the retail going to e-commerce and all the attention going to social media. So just by becoming experts of those, boom. So now if you can get good at social media and e-commerce, that's all you need. Okay?
Right.
Get good at both of those and you're a freaking unicorn and you can make millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like out of nothing. Look at Squatty Potty. It's a piece of plastic that you take a shit with. Okay? And they've made tens of millions of dollars just because of one creative video ad. So you can literally
start with FBA and then start learning social media and then or start a page and then either drop ship or do FBA for that page.
Yeah, because you're not gonna, from my understanding, I mean, there are people that go the opposite. I mean, there are Shopify dropshippers, and their whole lifeblood is built off Facebook ads.
Right.
and just drop shipping. But in my opinion, drop shipping is a terrible business model. You are not providing any value. You're taking 2.5 weeks to ship to your customer. You have no control of the packaging. It comes in a Chinese package. There's no customization, no brand loyalty, no nothing. But they're getting really good at social media marketing and selling, which is a very valuable skill.
Mm-hmm.
But and there's not as much capital requirements of Amazon. So there is some benefits to Shopify dropshipping. But I still believe that Amazon FBA is the best long-term business model because it's the most hands-off.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just taking advantage of the customers that are already there and providing value to them. But I think doing both is the best. But right now with Amazon, I mean, they're both wide open still.
Yeah.
You know?
And besides the traffic that you bring from social media, it also solves the problem of, since with Amazon you can't connect with your customer or you can't get their emails, their information, you can do that with the social media part. But back to Gary Vee. Did you meet him?
Did I meet Gary Vee? Yes, I did.
Did you talk to him? What did you learn from him?
What did I learn from him? Oh, well, I asked him. I'll just be honest. I just asked him. And I said, I had this experience and whatnot, and I'm thinking about making a course. And I'm thinking about selling it, and I can make a lot of money. And he said, no. He said, don't do that.
Don't be Ty Lopez.
Yeah. Basically, don't be Ty Lopez, and just essentially said, give it away for free. And just truly give value to people. And over time, he had one quote that really stuck with me, and it was, whoever stays free the longest wins.
Interesting.
That's what he told me. He said, you can always go back. You can always go back and sell, but you can never go back and unsell.
Right.
So I've made the decision that I have all this info and knowledge, and I could really change a lot of people's lives by sharing it. And that, like, if I change thousands of people's lives, I guess how would that not just snowball into the future?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if I have a huge impact, change people's financial lives and whatnot, help inspire them, like that's such a deep connection that you have with someone. And yeah, it's just a snowballing effect that goes into the future. So I've made that personal decision to just go and give away all my info for free. Really put it into
for $1. I think I heard you.
Okay, it is $1.
$1.
Well, otherwise, like, well, I'll tell you. Okay, so there is a concept in internet marketing, and so I've applied this. Somebody that spends $1 is worth about 19 times more than somebody who spends $0.
Mm-hmm.
So I want, like, if I'm going to be answering requests from people or whatnot, there's got to be some filter. You know, like, okay, was this person serious enough to whip out their credit card and spend $1?
Right.
If they were, then okay. But I don't want to, like, you know, hear this, like, if they're not going to put down $1, I don't want to hear from them to, like, that. I mean, maybe it breaks the rule, but I don't think it breaks the rule. Like,
no, for sure.
You know, it's like I'm trying to make money off this dollar. like what? I get a million people to make $1 million like that. I'm not going to get 1 million people to take it. So.
Yeah. So before we end, I want to talk about the company that you're building. I think it's very interesting, and just want to hear more about it.
Yes. So I can't say the official name yet because we haven't trademarked it. And I don't want somebody to go and steal it.
You don't have to.
Yeah. But essentially, what I realized is, and what it was maybe about when I was 21 or 20, I went through a tough time. And I guess I had always been super into video games, and I'd always been good at whatever I'd done, but I'd never really done anything with my life. And series of bad things, got in a really bad health state with my chest, where my chest pushing into my heart was looking like I was potentially going to die, you know, but 25, 30 years old. My mom got cancer, A girlfriend broke up with me. All these bad things happened all at once. And, it's a pretty hard time, but I ended up getting through it. And really what brought me through it was personal development, just YouTube videos and motivational speeches and hearing great content from people like Gary Vee, like Brendan Burchard, like Tony Robbins, like so many great, there's just lots of good advice. And life's really about who we surround ourselves with and the type of info that we put into our head. Mm-hmm. And I've just found that we've got all these great technology tools to help us do e-commerce, Amazon. There's this great one to find information, Google. There's all these other great ones to make money or to serve on our evolutionary needs. Like Facebook is just, making it easier for us to socialize and everything. But nobody's really ever gone in depth to make it easier to plan goals and to remind you of your goals, or to help collect all the things that you're grateful for every day. Because every day could be great. I mean, you could go from being deaf and blind and you'd be freaking happy just to see the color purple. And that could be like a moment of ecstasy because you have a reference and you can, it's all about direction in life. And a lot of us can lose that direction. And so I'm out there to just help build a place to collect all the great things of life, things we're striving for. So to be working towards a greater future, but then to be appreciative of the past and the present moment. So, I think as we move more towards the future here, we don't need more tech to distract us and take away from our lives. We need more technology that's eventually going to help make our life better and automate. So I'm working towards that future. And eventually, I guess I just see my big dream is a house that just kind of knows what mood you're in and knows what mood you want to be in and kind of what you want to do that day. And it's changing the music, it's changing the lights, it's changing the temperature. If you're being lazy or something, it's throwing on some motivational Gary Vee speech for 20 seconds, and just throwing just in time information at you and to help morph. Or if you want to be relaxing, it's auto boom, that music is getting relaxed, the lights are going down, so it's just kind of there's so many great things in science and productivity that have been proven to help make our life better, but you have to remember them all, and we can't. We're just trying to get through life. So slowing out and just starting with that of gratitude and goals, and then as that becomes profitable and whatnot, building into more of the AI and biometrics as well. It's a big goal, and but that's the whole space I want to be in. That's something I want to work on for 60 years.
That's amazing. I guess that answers my next question, which was going to be, what drives you, or what makes you wake up in the morning and want to do something when you don't really have to do anything, financially. So I guess that answers it.
And yet I was up till 3 a.m. working last night. And exactly. There's nothing. And I have been. I've been working 16-hour days for a month. Yeah. What drives me? I guess what really drives me is just knowing that, life could end pretty freaking soon. Just almost dying at a young age, you are forced to just see what is your life like what's important. But when you actually think you're going to die, it's something that you've never thought about. Maybe you think about it, but you don't feel it. It's not real. And when it is, and you realize what is important, you get more of a sense of urgency. And so I've gotten that sense of urgency on both extremes. So I have the sense of urgency of, let me go out and do all the things that I want to do before I'm going to die, before I'm 30, and even this year, so this year, my wife and I, we're going to go climb Mount Everest. We're going to go on an African safari. We're going to go to the pyramids. We're going to the World Cup in Russia, where I'm going to Ibiza, we're going to party, and I'm doing all that by June.
Why leaving the company?
Yeah, while building 2 companies.
2 companies.
Yeah, and this YouTube channel. So, but I guess, so then what drives me on the work side is I see that I have the ability to affect people's lives. And I guess the way that it is with the Eclipse, I saw that I had a once in a lifetime opportunity and that I was going to get out of it what I put into it. And so, I did. And it literally, I'll tell you, it came down so close that I just watched this video yesterday and it was pretty crazy. I was 30 minutes away from making another $300,000 profit. Okay. Because the orders got all messed up. I had to ship stuff back from FBA. Listings got closed. So basically one of my listings got closed for no reason. It was certified. And I may have done something that's basically it was a 6-pack or something. And that got closed down, but the 12-pack wasn't. And it's like the same thing. And like, hey, dude, this is the same product. It's just 6 or 12. So essentially I got thousands of orders of the 12-pack, but I had to ship 2 of the 6-packs to them, but they were stuck in Amazon. I couldn't get them back in time. So I had to do manual fulfillment orders to these. Okay. And I made this giant spreadsheet and I stayed up for like 62 hours in a row doing this. And I went and I was like setting off these orders and stuff. And I missed the overnight shipping deadline by 30 minutes. And it was $300,000. But I had gone and worked every single minute of 6 months that I possibly physically could. Like when I got out of surgery, well, I broke my elbow right here, fell, and then I got home from the hospital and I started to work. I go at home, you'll see a scar right, nope, doesn't show up. Yeah. I got my chest cut open and I had hijackers on my listing. And I woke up from that and they said it's one of the most painful surgeries in the world. And I fought with lawyers for 14 hours. People were like coming in the hospital and be like, doctors like, how is he alive? Like, how is he doing this? But just knowing that, like, if you're working on an opportunity, that if you put in your all and work harder than everybody else, you're going to get the most out of it. And then I said, like, I want to go. So what's been driving me is like, I want to go do all this stuff before I die. And I want to go and travel, but then eventually I want to have kids and a dog and a house, and you can't really travel, And then a lot of people just wait till the end of their life. So I'm like, no, I'm going to make it all happen before. And you know what I said? I want to be retired by the time I have my children so that I can teach them to live a good life. So that, and it's like, well, I want to do everything I want to do and teach my kids to have a good life, but then also build a company that changes the world. So if I do it all and I do that hard work now, then I'm able to do all of these things. And I realize I need to take it back a little bit. So that's what I'm working on in this fall.
And if anyone wants to see how he's going to do all of that, then go to his YouTube channel, subscribe. It's just Brock Johnson, right?
Yeah, or Instagram, because YouTube is kind of more tutorial-like and sharing my info. Okay. But the Instagram, that's where the
life part.
That's where you're going to see the more philosophical, the struggles, the more real life, Like that's where, like yesterday, I didn't want to go work out, but there was a snowstorm, and I drove with my head out of the window to the gym, when it was closing in 45 minutes, because it was like, well, screw it. I have an opportunity to go work out. I'm going to take it. So that's the kind of stuff you'll see that, obviously I'm not going to make a YouTube video on that.
What's your Instagram?
No, just @official Brock Johnson.
Official Brock Johnson. All right. I'll link everything below. And do you want to say anything else for whoever's watching before we end this video?
The last thing that I would say is have a reason for what you're doing. And just be aware of that reason. And that you agree with that reason. And that you chose that reason. Because a lot of people go through life and they're doing something, but maybe it's because their parents want them to do that.
Right.
or it's because that's what success would look like to society. So just define what success is to you. And that could just be selling products from China, making money so that you have freedom to spend time with your family. That's perfectly fine. You know, you don't have to have big, giant goals to change the world. Just make sure that it's your goal that you want. And then remind yourself of that. And then when times get tough, you just remind yourself of your goal, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. I've chose this and I want to do this. So that would be what it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for being here, Brock. It was very cool, honestly. If anyone's made it this far, let me know in the comments. It was a pretty long,
like 4 people made it this far.
If you made it, then we love you. And no, thanks again for being here, and we'll stay in touch, I guess.
Yeah, man. I'll bring you on my channel at some point here.
Awesome. Then go subscribe to this channel to see me if you don't want to see Brock.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Next video.